Out of all you fighters that I see getting on, doing the mitt work or the pad work, whatever you want to call it, I see y'all doing all this, doing all this, doing all this.
Gervonta Davis is furious after seeing Jake Paul train with Floyd Mayweather ahead of the upcoming fight. Floyd explains that boxing is about discipline, conditioning, and testing who can hit the hardest. He emphasizes that true boxing is not just about movement, but about pushing limits in training and seeing who endures. This statement sparks tension, as Davis feels overlooked, while Floyd praises Jake Paul's commitment to training and stepping into the ring.
I just like to push myself to be the best at whatever I do. It could be basketball, football. My dad introduced me to boxing in 1977, and I just took it to the next level. I love boxing, I love competing, and I love being the best. What's good with the fight camp so people can compete with one another, push each other, and it's fun. People want to see who hit the hardest, who's the fastest, who could throw the most punches, so it's a great product. It's about just competing and working hard, getting in shape, and enjoying yourself while you're doing it.
Paulie Malignaggi's perspective on Gervonta "Tank" Davis is rooted in history. He emphasizes that despite any personal disagreements or ongoing tension between Tank and Floyd Mayweather, there is no denying Floyd's influence on the young star's career. According to Malignaggi, Mayweather played a central role in sharpening Tank's technique, instilling discipline, and giving him the kind of foundation that separates elite fighters from the rest. Even if Tank publicly downplays Floyd's importance or highlights their current feud, the reality is that the years under Floyd's mentorship shaped the fighter he has become today.
He was a flashy guy, and I actually liked that win for Gervonta.
Ryan Garcia.
Ryan Garcia, a lot of fluff again, because he's a YouTuber who's never accomplished anything else besides being a YouTuber. Though there is talent there, it's unfulfilled and untapped talent, and the loss to Rolly Romero tells you that. So what has Gervonta Davis created, aside from being a manufactured creation that got a big push from Floyd Mayweather? Let's be honest here. A big push from Floyd Mayweather. And then after that, let's match him very carefully, because what do? We wanted to do the same thing with Adrian Broner, who had the balls to fight everybody. Say what you will about Adrian Broner. Had the balls to fight everybody. Didn't duck a single fight. And they said, you know what? We wanted to do this with Adrian Broner. We wanted to just manufacture a star before he was made into a star. And we kind of messed up by matching him too tough. So the pendulum swung in the complete opposite direction here. It's not like you balanced it out. You went in the complete opposite direction and made this guy fight absolutely nobody constantly. And let me tell you something about the Lamont Roach fight. He's a 16-1 underdog going into the fight because they knew they didn't want to fight anybody who was a risk. There's a reason he's ducking the Lamont Roach rematch now, because now you realize, wow, this guy is a threat.
Jeff Mayweather's comments cut straight to the heart of the debate surrounding a potential matchup between Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul: the size difference. According to Jeff, Jake Paul is simply much bigger than Davis, both in natural weight and frame. Boxing has always had weight classes for a reason, and Jeff stresses that the matchup ignores this principle entirely. Davis has built his career in the lighter divisions, excelling through speed, timing, and explosive power within his natural weight range. Jake Paul, meanwhile, has consistently fought at cruiserweight, where fighters walk around with a completely different physical build. Jeff argues that placing these two men in the same ring not only risks competitiveness, but also raises questions about fairness.
It's kind of weird, because Jake Paul is extremely bigger than Tank. And I mean, but with it being a exhibition, it makes sense. It's fine. He got a big name that he's going to be fighting. But I mean, it really makes no sense, because he's going to be weighing over 200 and some pounds. Tank's going to probably be weighing maybe at the most 147, 150. So I don't even understand why the fight is happening.
Promoter Eddie Hearn echoed a similar sentiment, but took it a step further. He argued that boxing and entertainment must be clearly separated, and a fight between Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul blurs that line dangerously. According to Hearn, the contest is not competitive in the truest boxing sense. Instead, it is designed as a business venture, fueled by celebrity status and social media buzz. He points to the glaring size disparity as evidence that this matchup isn't about testing skills on a level playing field. Instead, it is packaged as a spectacle meant to capture mainstream attention. Hearn acknowledged that financially, the fight would be massive, attracting global interest and generating significant revenue. However, as a lifelong advocate for legitimate competition, he finds it troubling when fights are arranged primarily for commercial reasons rather than sporting merit. Still, Hearn admitted that from a promoter's perspective, the fight would be a good business day. It guarantees headlines, ticket sales, and pay-per-view buys, even if purists feel the sport's standards are compromised.
Next year, and they always said that there was a chance that Jake would fight in November. I think, wasn't I the one that broke Jake Paul against Gervonta Davis 6 months ago or something? I knew that they'd agree that deal. I didn't know they were about to announce it then, but I did know that they'd agreed that deal previously. So I don't like it, if I'm honest. I mean, I think we need to really differentiate between boxing and an entertainment concept, and that's what that is. It's a freak show. It's entertainment. It's a lightweight fighting a cruiserweight. You know, with, I don't know, is it bigger gloves and certain minutes per round? I don't know what it is, but, you know, I understand the market and I understand this freak show, shock kind of the world mentality of people potentially tuning in. Is that a step too far? Maybe. I mean, I hated Jake Paul against Mike Tyson, but it did massive numbers. I hate Jake Paul against Gervonta Davis. It'll probably do massive numbers. So that's when you really have to differentiate yourself between, just because you don't like it doesn't mean it isn't going to do good business. However you want to be involved with it is another kettle of fish. I don't want to be involved with it, but I do respect the fact that it's going to do big numbers. It's just not boxing. And I don't think we should promote it as boxing.
In the meantime, then, Eddie, where does that leave you with Anthony Joshua? Are you exploring other options for the end of this year, or are you still looking at that fight for the beginning?
Yeah, no, we're not interested in the Jake Paul fight right now. After that, I mean, like, you know, we're not going to wait around till November. Is it November or December, whenever it is, and yeah, and see how he gets on. I mean, if he gets chinned by Gervonta Davis, we can't exactly make the Anthony Joshua fight.
Former UFC champion Michael Bisping added a unique perspective to the debate, referencing previous exhibition fights where money dictated outcomes more than skill. In his view, Jake Paul could very well secure a win over Gervonta Davis, not necessarily because of superior ability, but because of the weight advantage and the financial dynamics at play. Bisping argued that exhibition bouts are not bound by the same rules of legitimacy as sanctioned title fights. When a matchup becomes primarily about entertainment and money, results can be influenced in unexpected ways. Jake's larger frame, coupled with the looser rules of an exhibition, could tilt the fight in his favor.
But you know what? Fair play. If he does go out and fight Anthony Joshua, which I wouldn't advise because that would be extremely dangerous, then fair play if he was to do that. And all the critics and people like myself would have to shut the hell up, because I always said he's looking for fights that were manufactured, looking for fights that were predetermined. And by that, I don't mean fake fights. I don't mean fixed fights. I mean fights where the odds are so stacked in his favor that, of course, he's going to win. And, of course, we see this. The latest match that's going to go down November 14th at the State Farm Arena in Atlanta, Georgia. Jake Paul is taking on, you've seen it by now, Gervonta Tank Davis. A man that is a lightweight in boxing. Now, lightweight in MMA is 155 pounds. Lightweight in boxing, 135 pounds. Jake Paul, I think when he weighed in for Mike Tyson, was 227 pounds.
Official weight, 227.2 pounds.
That is, if I'm not mistaken, a 92-pound weight difference. Almost a 100-pound weight difference. It's insane. Let's say he comes in at 200 pounds. It's still a 65-pound weight advantage, which is absolutely ridiculous. How can you be out there claiming to want to fight the best people on the planet and then going out there and taking on a guy that is maybe 92 pounds heavier, that is at least 65 pounds heavier than you? That is called one thing. That's called being a bully. It was bad enough when he fought Mike Tyson, a man that was 58 years old, and he was walking around like, oh, I just beat the baddest man on the planet. I just destroyed Mike Tyson and went out there and I beat him, and him and his brother are all celebrating and shit like that. It's like, dude, what are you doing?
The Wade Concept host described Jake Paul as a master manipulator, painting him as someone who understands how to provoke opponents and create opportunities. According to him, Jake successfully baited Gervonta Davis into this matchup by flaunting wealth, creating hype, and turning the contest into an irresistible financial offer. In this framing, Davis is not chasing legacy as much as he is reacting to the allure of a massive payday. The host emphasized that Jake's real talent lies outside the ring, in marketing, promotion, and psychological manipulation. By leveraging his platform and showcasing his fortune, Jake pressured Davis into accepting a fight that might not make sense competitively, but does make sense financially.
Also, and again, Jake's only been boxing for 5, 6, 7 years now. It isn't necessarily far-fetched to try to have his own advantages when trying to fight other boxers that have been far more experienced than him. But this one's a little too much, right? This one is crazy because of the massive weight difference. It doesn't make a ton of sense. But again, as far as a sport fight is concerned, I want to make sure I make that clear. Again, this is not me hating on it, because I do think that both guys have been very upfront with what they're doing in this fight and what their goals are with these kind of events. But the narrative Jake's trying to create as if this is like proving anything for him fighting a real fighter when Gervonta is so much smaller than he is. It'll prove something in the fact that Jake is willing to put on great events, but it won't prove anything to the people that are asking him to fight a real fighter. I will say though, if Jake goes out and flatlines Gervonta, the casual audience that will say Gervonta smokes Jake completely and utterly, like it wouldn't even be close, that will change their minds a little bit. Not the people that know boxing, but the people that are going to watch this, the casual viewer that know the name Gervonta Davis and know the name Jake Paul. If he is to compete with Gervonta at all or look good in that fight, people will in some way accept that. Or they'll do the other thing where they just say the fight's rigged, which has never been the case, but you get what I'm saying. What Jake is doing is trying to convince a casual audience that he belongs in the ring with bigger names. If he's able to hurt Gervonta at all, that might actually do it.
The undefeated lightweight champion of the world.
With a record of 30-0, 28 knockouts.
And this one is over.
The brick
He's been
hand.
boxing since he was 5 years old and turned pro when he was 18.
Gervonta Davis at 22 becomes the youngest champion in boxing.
And guess what? Just like everybody,
Ryan Garcia, a rival of Gervonta Davis, was blunt in his assessment. He described Jake Paul's maneuver as neither good, dismissing it as a cheap publicity tactic. From Garcia's perspective, the only reason Davis accepted the fight was money. Garcia argued that true fighters pursue legacy, championships, and history. Accepting a fight against a much bigger man, in his view, undermines the purity of competition. Instead of chasing greatness through worthy opponents, Davis allowed himself to be swayed by a financial incentive. Garcia's criticism also carried an undertone of rivalry, as he has long traded verbal jabs with Tank. Nonetheless, his comments reflect a common critique, that this fight is less about proving skill and more about cashing in. To Garcia, the move lacks dignity and diminishes the credibility of all parties involved.
News that last week shook up the boxing game, Jake Paul versus Tank, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like everyone's talking about it. It's a whole thing. A lot of people liked it, didn't like it.
Yeah.
How did you feel when you first saw that it was a thing?
It pissed me the fuck off, bro.
Yeah, why?
It's just disappointing on mainly Jake's end. You know, we're not falling for the Disney Channel bit no more. We're not falling for you're not a fighter no more. We're not falling for that. You know, you're ranked as a cruiserweight and you're out here trying to fight a lightweight. And then on top of it, you were just talking about fighting Anthony Joshua. That doesn't make no sense. And, you know, I just felt like it was a disgrace to boxing and kind of it was not a good move by Jake Paul. You know, I understand people saying, you know, Gervonta got to go get his money, you know, blah, blah, blah. But, like, we're not talking about that shit. We're talking about the sport, bro. We're not talking about, oh, you got to get that money, bro. Yeah, but everybody's open to criticism. That's the whole point of this media shit. That's why they talk about basketball players. They don't talk about, well, LeBron's making too much. Like, nobody cares, bro. If LeBron's missing the shot, he's missing the fucking shot. So at the end of the day, bro, I just thought it was a disgrace to the sport. Because on one end, you know, you got the casuals, right? The casuals don't see the weight difference. They see Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis. Yeah. And if Gervonta Davis doesn't fuck up Jake Paul, they're going to think Jake Paul is some pound-for-pound champion type of fighter. Yeah. And to me, that's just it's tricking the public, and it's kind of bullshit, bro, at the end of the day. Because at the end of the day, if Gervonta was Jake Paul's size, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. There probably wouldn't even be a fight. Yeah, you know what I mean? So I just think that it's a disgrace to boxing.
Former champion Sean Porter highlighted a recurring theme in Jake Paul's boxing journey. Fighters accept his challenges for paydays, not respect. According to Porter, Jake has managed to lure credible opponents into the ring because of the financial rewards attached. However, despite his growing resume, Jake has not earned genuine love or admiration from the boxing community. Porter explained that money may open doors, but Respect is earned through skill, legacy, and meaningful victories. Fighters see Jake as a lucrative opportunity rather than a serious competitor, and that distinction prevents him from being embraced by traditional boxing fans. While Jake has undeniable influence as an entertainer, his presence in the sport is still polarizing. For Porter, this fight follows the same pattern, a high-profile event built on dollars, not the kind of respect that defines legendary careers.
I like, when it's all said and done and when you guys go off, they go into the next man. Yeah. So if y'all can make a big payday, go get that payday. The sport of boxing don't love you. And that's the problem with this sport. It's like, what Jake Paul did, man, it's crazy, but people getting paid off of it.
Yeah.
So if he can call any one of y'all out and y'all can get that payday, I say go get it, baby. I'm not mad at it.
For me, and I'm not mad at this move at all for Tank Davis, but I think when it comes to boxing fans, there's an essence that comes with this sport, and it's an essence that hasn't been lost, unlike other sports. For an example, with football, we come from the hitting days. Yeah. Can't hit nowadays. You know what I mean? So boxing hasn't lost its essence. You know, they're trying to make it safer and all those sorts of things, but there's still this pureness to boxing that really doesn't exist in sports anymore, but it's still there with boxing. I think that's why people have such a problem with this kind of move from Tank Davis.
Is it more the heart? How do you guys feel being boxers?
Man, like once you hear the numbers, I'm like, they're talking, like I don't know the official one. They're talking about like 100 mil.
Oh damn.
Like, they're talking about these insane numbers. Like I'm gonna be like, don't take that. I'm not gonna tell another man not to take that type of check, especially for something like that. It's not on your official record. It's an exhibition. I'm not gonna lie here and act like I'm not gonna say yes to 100 million or something like that.
Legendary trainer Teddy Atlas focused on the technical aspects of the matchup. He acknowledged that Tank Davis is far more skilled and has faced a deeper pool of opponents compared to Jake Paul. Davis's professional experience, championship pedigree, and versatility inside the ring are unmatched when measured against Jake's relatively limited resume. However, Atlas also emphasized that weight is a real factor. Skill can often bridge gaps, but when the size difference is extreme, even elite fighters face problems. A naturally larger man can absorb more punishment and deliver heavier shots, making the contest inherently risky. Atlas respects Davis's skill set, but cautioned that the weight disparity introduces a layer of danger that cannot be ignored. His comments underscore the central tension of the matchup, a world-class fighter stepping into an uneven physical contest where ability and size collide in unpredictable ways.
Right? Who's not a professional fighter. What happens? What happens? That's what would sell it. I know the size difference is what creates the problem. The optics, the look, the reality. I mean, you got one guy who's fights at 135 pounds, and you got another guy who fights at 200. I mean, just that alone, yeah. But you also, and I'm not saying I want this or I like this when I heard it. No, I didn't like it, to be honest, for the optics and everything else I just said. But you do have one guy who, yeah, he's smaller. But he's a top fighter. He can punch. And he's fighting a guy who's not a top pro fighter, who's bigger. What if he hits him on the chin? What if he hits him on the chin? It'll wind up selling. And that's what'll wind up selling it. The what if. What if Tank makes him do a cha-cha? He hits him on the chin, and Jake Paul, we're going to find out if he can dance. Whoa, 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 whoa. Do the cha-cha. That's what's going to sell it. And you can't argue that what if. You can't. I know I get to places that other people won't go and everything else. They just dismiss stuff because it's easier to do that. It's safer to do that. You don't have the bows and arrows coming at you from people that argue with you because you did that, but I don't care.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned until next time.